It's not enough to be have great industry knowledge in terms of products and competitive situation. It's not enough to have great relationship skills anymore.
Welcome back. I've got Stephen Norman with me again. I think he's bringing great value to us through this series of discussions. Welcome, Stephen.
Great to be back, John.
Hey, we talked about the fact that organisations need to get a proper sales culture in place with all the processes, the way we do business, and make sure it's a teaming effort across multiple parts of the business.
Yep.
One of the issues I find is we've got to recruit properly with the right salespeople, because we now need domain experts or experts in the customer domain.
Yes.
We need people that are very collaborative and are very good at having business level conversations. It's not about the product anymore. They shouldn't even be talking about the product half the time. So it's really very different thinking. So if we're going to go and hire the right people and get them productive in our organisations, what do we need to do?
Yeah, well, John, I think you make some good points. It's absolutely time for organisations to get their heads around sales recruiting. Like, less than half of sales recruits end up being successful. And there's a lot of folks leaving, a lot of folks not making it, a lot of folks are the wrong fit.
What do you think causes that lack of success?
Well, there's a couple of big things. Roles have changed dramatically. So the sort of person we're looking for today has to have different skill sets than we might have looked for in the past. It's not enough to be have great industry knowledge in terms of products and competitive situation. It's not enough to have great relationship skills anymore. We want folks who are going to be able to bring insight to customers, really work as a team in our company to work with all the various functions to bring value to customers and get that alignment. So we've got to start there. We've got to get our specs right. Also, roles are a lot more specialized now in sales. It's not just a matter of a single general salesperson who sort of does everything. There's lots of different specialized roles.
Particularly if you're building customer level domain in your domain knowledge in your people, expertise. For example, if you've got a part of your company selling to the banking and finance industry, you need people with very good domain expertise in banking.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Or is it in manufacturing? The same thing, and so on. In the past, as we discussed in earlier discussions, all we needed was a salesperson that really understood your product well and went out there and asked a few questions and showed how the product would solve a problem.
We need salespeople expert in our customer's business, not our business.
More so than our business.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first big part. The second big part is our recruiting process. And it's so prevalent that we're hiring people using what are called unstructured interviews.
I find that devastating. I mean, I've been teaching and pushing and using structured interviews for 30 years or more, and I know there's different ways of doing it, but I agree, it's very sad. Can I, before we get into that too much, I raise two other reasons why I think salespeople fail? One is we don't provide the sales culture and the sales environment the way we do business properly. We haven't got that structure. It's pointless hiring salespeople if you don't know how you sell.
Yes.
No matter how good the salespeople are, they'll flounder, they'll drown, and they'll leave you.
Sure.
The other thing is, if we don't onboard them, if we don't bring them on and make sure that they understand the way we do business and how they're going to work within the teams and what our expectations are, and then coach them into the organisation over the first 3 or 6 or 9 months to get them working as part of the team, they'll fail. So there's lots of areas. So let's get back to the very first, the recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the selection of the people.
So most managers, most hiring managers, especially experienced sales managers and sales leaders, way overestimate their own ability to select salespeople through a casual chat.
And guess what? Salespeople know how to sell, don't they?
Well, even the poor salesperson is quite good at coming into your office, building rapport, getting some engagement going, and then the conversation goes here, it goes there. The salesperson's probably controlling that, and let's say you have 3 people interview that person, all in an unstructured way. Then they all get together. They've all approached it differently. There hasn't been a strategy. It's not structured. It's all on gut feel and so forth. And, it's okay for me to say that, but there's been a number of studies, and they say that doing unstructured interviews only has a 14% correlation with success of choosing someone successful in that role.
Whereas well-structured interviews has what?
If you shift to structured interviews, you're going to get that to 50%.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It's a big difference. And then you can get to 75% if you add on some sales assessment testing on top of that. And these days, there's hardly any excuse not to use a sales assessment test. In the past, these were very expensive, or they were very generalized about IQ or something. But now there's a lot of options out there, depending on the sort of role you're recruiting for. For $100, $150, you can get a test done, and it's going to show you the innate characteristics of that person, and are they going to be suited for the type of role you have.
I agree. So that whole process of recruiting, the other thing I find is a lot of people create a CV and just pump it out to a whole lot of recruiters and say, give me people.
Yeah, well, a lot of companies, because the things we're talking about, like building that culture, having a proper onboarding process, they're hard to do. They're long-term. They take investment. If you do it, though, you'll build up a sustainable, growing sales structure where you can bring people in and develop them and get them on the right path and all. Too many companies are taking the shortcut. They're looking for the magic bullet salesperson. I've got a role, I've got a quota. Let's get someone who's a big name or who's doing the same thing now and try and get them in. And maybe you ain't going to end up with some mercenaries or lone wolves, all doing things in their own way. And it's going to have problems.
I like your term, magic bullet salesperson, and I see a lot of, particularly younger startup type organisations, think they just go out and find a great salesperson with a great track record, and they'll be successful in their company just by telling them what a wonderful product we've got, go out and sell it. And the reality is, of all that way we do business, the culture and everything else is not in place, and we don't onboard them properly.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how good they are, the silver bullet salesperson will fail.
Absolutely. It's not a sustainable model.
Okay, I think that's a great discussion. I think recruiting and the whole process of selecting and then onboarding salespeople in your new culture of the way you do business is the only sustainable way you can drive growth in your company.
Yeah, absolutely agree, John.
Thank you, Stephen. Look forward to the next time.
Good to see you again.